All right. Good evening, everybody. My name is Ananda Lennox. I'm the director of the Close Community Coalition, and we are going to start the public part of our meeting this evening. And I always like to start with the mission of the Close Community Coalition so folks remember what we do. So our mission is to collaboratively initiate, coordinate, and sustain prevention and intervention efforts that reduce youth substance use and abuse within the town of Longmeadow. Our community members work together to strengthen our community capacity to support positive youth development and reduce risky behaviors in a variety of ways, including increasing access and reducing barriers to protective factors, evaluating and monitoring risky behaviors among youth and sharing that data with the community, establishing and strengthening collaboration among local stakeholders, understanding the diversity of the community and striving to include all, facilitating collaborative fundraising, grant writing, and programming among coalition members, and researching evidence-based practices and sharing data, information, and resources. And tonight we have Detective Lieutenant Michael Jerkowski, who's going to give us an overview of the DART program, which is one of our partners who do a lot of good work for the community.
Thanks, Ananda. Yeah, Lieutenant Jerkowski, been on the job about 19 years. Since 2015, the state, as well as a lot of grants in Hampden and Hampshire County, became available to recognize a lot of community needs in terms of mental health and drug abuse, substance abuse. So DART it stands for Drug Addiction Recovery Team. And for Longmeadow, there's DART and there's CIT. It's Crisis Intervention Team. We combined them both. So about in 2015, I think I was mentioning there's a lot of grants that were available through the state and Hampden and Hampshire counties. We successfully got the grants, and we formed both a DART and CIT team combined. Bigger agencies, bigger cities will have separate, because again, CIT is more for mental health, DART is more for drug abuse recovery teams. Fortunately for Longmeadow, we don't have the high levels that other communities in the area that have. So again, we combined both. But when we do have, for DART purposes, an overdose or a substance abuse or any possibility that a family member needs help with, a member of our DART team / CIT team, which consists of myself, Sergeant Rob Lombardi, and Officer Kevin Rowley, will reach out to the calling party, usually a family member, make sure they're getting resources, and reach out to a clinician. Lucky for us, as I was mentioning about all the grants, we actually have an in-house clinician 20 hours a week for Longmeadow, 20 hours a week for East Longmeadow. Even if she's in East Longmeadow and there's an incident that happens in Longmeadow, we call our clinician over and we address that issue right away. Now, if it's on the weekend, obviously we're going to send them to the hospital or call an on-call clinician. But in terms of the whole purpose of DART, again, Drug Addiction Recovery Team, it's the community aspect. It's not just the person that needs the help who could have been overdosing and the ambulance shows up, so clearly they're going to the hospital. We're not even going to really see them at that point. We're going to note it, and we're going to make sure the next day, the next 48 hours, next week, they're getting the help that they need. Usually the hospitals are great. They already set them up with clinicians and recovery teams, but we want to make sure that they're not being bypassed when they come back into the Longmeadow community. So whether it's the in-house clinician or myself or Sergeant Lombardi or Officer Rowley, we'll make sure they're getting the services that they need and confirm that. Now, it's a family, it's a community approach. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of services at the time prior to this DART program where the families, the loved ones were also receiving services for the events that they encountered. So we make sure, we give them packets. Again, we're just the police department, but we give them all the resources and to let them know that we're human beings too. I know we try to wear the attire that I'm wearing right now as opposed to the uniform. We don't want to upset anyone and show them again that we're normal, that we want to provide whatever we can to know that we genuinely care. It's not just that you get shipped off to the hospital and we forget about you. And it's not just the next day or next week. We'll follow up months down the road too. Again, we don't have a PhD in front of our name. It's lieutenant, sergeant, or officer. So the clinician's going to be dealing with all the professional parts of that. Hello. But that is the gist of it. Again, luckily for us in Long Meadow, we deal with more of the mental health. I shouldn't say luckily. But it's more of a CIT mental health approach. DART, the very few, drug overdoses that we do have, again, we make sure they get their services, but overwhelmingly in Long Meadow, it is a mental health approach. Again, our in-house clinician who we share with East Long Meadow PD, they will assist in those avenues as well.
Nice. You want to talk about these?
Yeah, so Ananda has done a great job in helping us set up free Narcan training throughout the year. We try to do it at least twice a year, sometimes at the shops. The past few years have been at the shops. Williams
Yeah.
Place Mall. We have Close and Tapestry, which they're based out of, Tapestry is based out of Holyoke.
Yeah.
And I forget the two gentlemen's name, but they've been awesome. They come out and they'll give free Narcan training to anyone riding by outside. We try to make it during nice weather. You can see Rep Ash there. He's always there supporting us, just trying to spread the knowledge, but also the stigma that, having Narcan available, it's only going to save lives. And it's as simple as any nasal plunger. I have allergies right now. If you're taking those kind of allergies, it's the same concept. And God forbid if a child or anyone else got a hold of it and they administer it by themselves or to a friend, there's going to be no side effects. It's safe. We're trying to, again, change the stigma, just like there's AEDs everywhere you see in restaurants, professional school buildings. We kind of want that to change. And I think the past year, we've seen improvement compared to 5-6 years.
Yeah, we even had, I don't know if it was the DART program, but I've been seeing like the opioid rescue kits. Like there's one in the police department. You already had one set up in the library. And then we've been moving along and we've reached out to the Long Meadow Adult Center. They now have them. The Jewish Community Center now has them. The Latest Craze has them. And First Churches has them as well.
Mhm.
So.
And just 5 years ago, we were getting the polite, no thank you,
Yeah,
come back
yeah.
later. But, so again, it's all changing, and it's just to save lives. And I credit Ananda and
Well, thanks.
for helping getting this going.
It was interesting, there was a college student doing a project at the end of his senior year. And he wanted to come into First Church, and he was observing sort of older things that were historic in character and blah, blah, blah. And then he was pointing out the newer things and things that technology, things like that made it feel more current. And he observed that we had the box right below the Narcan box right below
The AED.
the AED, and he took a picture of it to bring to give as part of his report. But he just said, "That's new,"
Yeah.
But it was kind of, I was struck that he caught it,
Yeah.
he saw it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Before we move on, does anybody have questions about the DART program while we're talking about it?
I do.
Okay.
Yep.
So is it basically like a family would call, or do you ever kind of present things in the moment? Like if someone had a DUI and the family showed up on the scene, would you kind of just hand them information, or?
For a DUI, normally during that timeline, it's mostly alcohol that we deal with. But let's just say it was narcotics, operating the impairment of narcotics. If a clinician wasn't working, they would put the report in the CIT DART inbox. So myself, Sergeant Lombardi, Officer Raleigh, and the in-house clinician would get it the next day, and we would follow up that way. If it was an emergency, they would just call us in, or we call the clinician in. But generally speaking, for that example, that wouldn't be the case on scene. It would be more so, God forbid, if there was a fatal overdose. Those are the kind of sources we need, the times we need to be with the family to provide the proper services to them. And again, if they do get transported to the hospital, then that's when we just make sure that the hospital is at least aware of all the facts, and then we follow up, whether it's the next day and so on.
Okay, so is it mainly fatal overdoses or
Nope.
like?
No, it could be, honestly, it could be a loved one calling us saying they're suspecting their family member is using, and we'll meet with them and try to gather, more facts, again, from a humanitarian, like, out of, community aspect as opposed to the police aspect. We're separating those two. And whatever information we get from there, we'll obviously provide the services to that loved one, and then make an attempt to speak with the involved party. Sometimes we get the door slammed in our face, and sometimes it's actually well received and we make progress, but we're going to try.
Thank you. I have so many
Yeah.
more questions, but I'll,
Oh, go
in the
for
interest
it.
of time. It's
Yeah.
okay.
So I'm here for
Well,
it.
we can.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we can
go
come
ahead.
back.
No, I want to hear your question.
Oh,
Okay. So does the family have to ask, or you kind of just like come?
I mean, we follow, obviously, the HIPAA laws, and
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be family either. It could be a friend, it could be a school teacher. If someone, again, we're going to use our judgment and our experience and our training, and the reliability of the person coming forward with this, but there's no law against going up to someone and asking, hey, are you okay, and seeing where the conversation goes from there.
Does the community know that they can safely ask you to come to their house like that, and that you're not going to like arrest their loved one?
Well, yes. I mean, the Good Samaritan law has changed. That's been like nationwide. And again, that's why we try to be wearing these type of normal clothes as opposed to our uniform, to show that we're not here in a law enforcement criminal capacity. We're here just because we truly care about you, and we want you to get right. We want to get you the proper help. It's out there.
So these are crisis calls that you're responding to.
Any call.
It's community policing. It's
Yeah.
it's saying, hey, we're not just here to arrest you. We're here to support you.
Yeah, and even so, if it was a crisis, and again, I mean, the law has changed. I know we've talked about this at the high school. A high school student, whether it's alcohol or drugs, they should call 911. They're not going to get arrested. They should know that they're not going to get arrested, because in the past they would be fearful that, well, if I call and there's alcohol or drugs here, I'm going to get arrested too, even though I'm trying to help out my classmate who's potentially overdosing or intoxicated. So that, I think we're doing a good job spreading that within the schools, and hopefully it trickles down to adults. But yeah, and even if, let's just say it was, a call for crisis, like you were referring to, and there's no CIT or DART member or clinician available, all of our officers are CIT trained, which is a 40-hour-a-week training. Again, all grant funded, thankfully, to pay for the overtime and the training. But essentially, it's just showing empathy, giving time, giving space, and understanding the difference between a violent criminal or a known drug dealer supplying these versus a user who needs help. The combination of the mental and drug addiction part of it.
And I just have a comment, because I come from another community, but I work in Longmeadow, and the relationship that the Longmeadow Police Department has with its residents never feels very punitive, never feels like we're out to get you. Their presence at events K-12 reduces the stigma of kids feeling like I'm going to get in trouble. They know each other's names. Some of our police officers know the students, the families. It's really a neighborhood feel. You know who lives where, and you know some of the issues that have happened in the past. So I really could see this community reaching out if they needed help, because you've been present in their lives in so many other non-threatening and proactive ways. So I could see why DART in a community like this would be successful. So I just thank you for all the work that you do, your presence at, whether it's our lockdowns, our security drills, our just coming to talk to kids, just showing a presence. It's always there. And then in the future, if these students ever did need help, I think they know that they could rely and trust that it's not about getting in trouble, it's about getting help.
Well, thank you for that. And Chief Stocks gives us a a long leash to make sure the community knows about that. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention SRO Healy here in the schools. He's doing a phenomenal job as well, building those relationships with the students and building their trust.
Yeah. And I was at a meeting like this, I don't know how many years ago it was, but you were there, and there were actually students from STAND at the meeting, and they were able to literally like ask him, and he literally looked them in the eye and was like, "You're not gonna get in trouble if you call us because somebody's too drunk to drive." And I thought that was like so powerful and so valuable, and so I'm saying that, one, because he's awesome, but two, because I'm wondering about getting some STAND members to come to some of these meetings, because they're the people who can kind of like get the word out to the other kids. And then also I just wanted to say, remind me afterwards, but like if Bay Path doesn't have this yet, they should, and if Twin Hills doesn't have it yet, they should. And I
Have
can
their own DART program?
no, sorry. The opioid
yes, absolutely,
rescue
yeah.
kit. So
Yeah.
if those places don't have it, there are some connections that we can make to like make sure
Wonderful.
that those places have it.
Great.
Thank you.
So so you're a teenager or whatever, you're 20-something, you're 50, and your friends passed out. They're calling 911, and then you're sent to the situation.
Yes,
Is that
so
okay?
in that situation, again, EMS is going first.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
us and EMS together, because,
Okay.
well, saving life, preserving life, that's the main priority. The second priority would be, okay, what happened here? Again, from a non-criminal standpoint, let's get them help, but also let's get the calling party potential help, like what's going on. So, they're probably going to the hospital by the time, even if I got the call.
Yeah.
If I'm working, or Sergeant Lombardi or Officer Rowley's working, we're going as well. Let's just
Okay.
hypothetically say it's at night and we're not
Yeah.
working, and we get the call. Even if we're heading in, that person's going to the hospital as
Right.
soon as possible.
Yeah.
But we will be following up the next day and weeks on end.
Well, and sometimes an arrest is a caring thing. Like,
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, if they don't get arrested in their early stage,
Well, so yeah,
their
I mean,
their
for instance-
bottom is going to be.
Yeah,
So,
Deeper.
and believe it or not, in the past, there have been officers here who, again, I'm talking like well over a decade ago,
Right.
but would try to help out the young person by not arresting. And believe it or not, the parents have complained by not, because they would have got, like to your point, sometimes, again, if you're driving intoxicated, it's completely different. You're putting not yourself but the other lives in danger. But in terms of the use, no, we're not going to go criminally for using at
Right.
someone's house. Now, if you're operating a vehicle, that's a completely different story, and the officer, I don't care what department you are across the country, you're going to have to act accordingly. And that's a great point, because you don't want to give breaks to someone.
no, I remember a young man who was driving drunk, crashed his car. Parent talks the police officer out of it. She goes out and buys the exact same car and replaces it for the kid as if nothing ever happened. And I'm like, what did he just learn? You know what I mean? And where is this going to go in the future? And I think that's where I go, hey, the arrest is the caring thing.
It's the consequence.
Any other questions?
In that situation, the courts, they also, if it is a juvenile, I am happy to say we're in Hampton County as well, because they factor the age
Sure.
of the offender too. Like, no one wants to ruin a kid's life for one bad decision.
Right.
But to your point, they need to, whether part of the conditions will they get help, do some community service, and don't do it again.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So you have to have some kind of tracking,
Right. That's good.
All right, thanks, Mike. So for the second part of our public presentation, I just wanted to share out some events, support networks, and campaigns that we have going on for the spring. So I'm going to be sending out a newsletter probably early next week to just get this to our mailing list, but I've been having this shared through the superintendent on his community bulletin board and through the principals at all the schools. So this is our annual campaign where we try to raise awareness about preventing underage drinking, especially during prom and graduation. And we're also trying to just promote like healthy celebrations and keeping less impaired drive. Like we want to see less impaired driving, basically, is the gist of it. So I will say we did double the number of homes that signed up this year, which is really exciting. So very happy about that. I haven't started passing out the signs yet. We were supposed to coordinate with Key Club, but they haven't gotten back to me. But I've been asking them since March. So we'll see what happens. They have a lot of energy, but I think they have 8 different tasks going at the same time. And then the other thing that we want to make sure parents know about is the Safe Home Network. It's a network that Shelley Warren started for the district, and it's very straightforward. It's a directory where parents can be part of a network that's been going on for several years that just connects families who are proactive about preventing underage drinking, families that share the same standards as you, and parents that you can trust, so that if your kid is going to hang out at their house, makes it easier to have those conversations. If you know somebody's already in the directory, you can be like, oh, they're not going to think I'm overprotective if I'm asking about alcohol because they signed up already. So we have that. This is going to be a postcard that's going out probably over the next couple weeks. And then this is a new one that we're going to be doing on May 28th. So there's a group called the SOS Generation, and they come here every year and they do a presentation on substance use, some stories from young people who are in recovery. And the 2 people who run it are both parents who lost a child to overdose. So they have decades of experience between them of just raising kids, having really sad things happen, and living to tell their tale and kind of share support for other parents. So what we're going to be doing on May 28th in a virtual format is Jim, who's one of the CEOs, is going to be having basically a talk, but mostly a dialogue with any parents who sign up, so that it can be like a nuanced conversation about like kids and drinking and drugs and setting limits and what does that look like, and how do you keep them talking to you? So, and also touching on mental health because they all tend to be related. So, so this is what we have going on for the spring. I did want to say SOS has really only done work for us with youth, so this will be the first time we're using it for parents, but they've been doing this for years. So Brian over in LCTV, this is the conclusion of our public segment of tonight's presentation. And I thank everybody who was able to join us for joining us. And thank you very much, Mike, for talking about DART. I think we need to promote it so that everybody knows more about it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks. All right. Brian, are we done?
You are clear.
Okay. Okay.